Well, hello. Welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name is Erica and I do some art videos. And today I am working on a couple of paintings that I did. If you watched last week's video, I did a piece that was some succulents, and that was for a commission for a bathroom. And these are the two trees that are also going to be going with that painting in the bathroom. And if you can't tell, we are out here in nature, baby. And there's a little bird over there that's doing a lot of talking. And he has some kind of a bug in his mouth. A pretty big bug, actually. And he's just kind of hanging out right there. I don't know if he wants to trade the bug for something better, but I don't have anything for him. So he was just going to have to be happy with his bug. Okay, well, he doesn't seem to be going anywhere, so we're just going to talk about this painting while he sits over there and, I don't know, chokes his bug while he makes a bunch of noise. So if you haven't seen last week's video and you want to watch it, I'll leave a link to it or one of those cards at the end of this video if you would like to see the painting that I did for last week's video. But this one is pretty much the same color scheme, a little bit different with the flowers being in there, so there's a little bit of pink, but I used pretty much the same colors with all three of these paintings to keep it in the same color palette. And I was trying to keep my style, but I was also going for a fairly simplistic style because the bathroom that they're going in also had some wallpaper that was going in. And I kind of wanted it to kind of match the style of the wallpaper, but also have my style in it as well. So it's a little bit different than something that I would normally do, but it's still kind of my style too, if that makes any sense. So for these two paintings, I was doing one with a kind of a tree of life style tree and a couple of sandhill cranes and some of the little flowers that they make the leis out of, plumeria. They're called plumeria. And then also on the other one, we kind of went with a cherry blossom type tree and did some red poppies with some dragonflies. And there was some dragonflies in the wallpaper that was in the bathroom, so I kind of did the dragonflies to sort of match the wallpaper dragonflies, but not exactly. So they're kind of the same, but they're not exactly the same. And this is what's fun about working on commissions sometimes, because sometimes working on commissions isn't fun, but sometimes working on commissions is fun, especially when you're doing something that is a little different than what you would normally do, but it's still things that you like to do. Like I like to do trees and I like to do bugs and, you know, succulents and stuff like that. But I don't always mix them up in this way, so it's fun to have somebody else's ideas and creativity kind of be able to kind of interact with your ideas and creativity and then come up with something different. And I know most of my videos I'm either using markers or I'm using watercolor. Sometimes I use no, that's about it. Markers and watercolor. You know, sometimes I use ink, metallic inks, or metallic watercolors, but I haven't done any acrylic painting, I don't think, in any of my videos yet. I'm pretty sure I haven't. I mean, I know I've been doing the videos for a while now, but I don't think I've done anything in acrylic painting. So, but it's not that I haven't done acrylic painting before. I actually used to do a lot of painting in acrylic, and I've always used the Liquitex Basics, which is what I'm using now. Oh, and I think I figured out why. Oh, that's why. The bird wanted to feed its babies. And I'm sitting in the spot where its babies are hidden. So, okay. So that's why the bird was just standing there with the bug looking at me. All funny. Aw, those are baby birds. I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. I guess if you can't hear it, then you're just listening to a bunch of nothing. And now I forgot what I was talking about. Let me go back, I guess, and listen to it for a second. Yeah, so, okay, I was using the Liquitex Basics. That's what I used to use when I did a lot of acrylic painting before. And I also bought some Liquitex gouache paint, and I've never used gouache before, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, and it had colors in it that matched the colors that were going into the wallpaper. So I thought I would be able to use that and not have to mix colors. But the bottles were smaller than I thought they were, so I didn't have as much paint as I thought I would. But I did use a little bit of it, and I had never used it before. The Liquitex, if you've ever used Liquitex Basics paints and you've used a palette, you know when it dries, it kind of peels off like a vinyl. It's plastic, but it's not a hard plastic. It's very soft and pliable. But the gouache, I noticed when it dried, like in the palette, it got real chalky and dry. It wasn't pliable, it didn't bend, it didn't peel. It got hard and chalky and dry. So I'm not exactly sure what is, chemically done to the paint, what the difference is that makes one softer and more pliable and one so chalky and dry. But yeah, that was the difference. And they both say acrylic paint. So, I mean, they're both an acrylic-based paint. They're both water-based paints. They're just a little bit different in texture. Well, that was exciting. The little bird fed its babies, and now it left to go, I guess, maybe get some more food. Hopefully it trusts that I won't do anything to its little babies while it's gone. It flew over to another tree, and it's watching. It's keeping an eye on me over here. But yeah, so okay, I would stop being distracted by the wildlife out here. And now the frogs are starting to talk. I will say though, like with the gouache paint, it was a little more opaque than the Liquitex Basics is. Not that the Liquitex Basic isn't opaque as well. I mean, it is pretty opaque for the most part, but if you thin it down too much, it does get transparent, and some of the colors are a little more transparent than others, especially if you put them over top of one another. You have a chance of being able to see the color underneath and possibly changing the colors a little bit. So I always find that if I'm doing paintings like this where there's contrasting colors, like I don't want to put blue and then have to or put green down, I mean, and then have to put red over green. It's going to look kind of black if you do that with these. So I like to keep the white in the background. That way when it goes down, it keeps its true color. But it seemed like as far as the gouache paints that maybe they would be a little bit more opaque and you wouldn't have to worry about that too much. Maybe if you laid red down over green, it wouldn't change the color that much. But with the Liquitex Basics, to be safe, I usually make sure there's a white base coat going underneath just so that I don't have any kind of color change. And I also didn't want to have too much texture in the paintings, so I didn't leave the paint super thick. I kind of went with a little bit more of a runny type of paint. Not super runny, but like, I guess like the consistency of maybe syrup or something. So kind of thick, but not so thick that it would leave a lot of brush strokes. I didn't want to have a lot of brush strokes. I wanted you to be able to see a little bit of texture, but I didn't want it to be like super textury. And then, of course, after these were all done, I did cover them with a clear coat. I used Minwax's Satin Clear. I will leave a link to everything that I used, all the products that I used for these pieces in the description part of this video if you want to check any of it out. Of course, the canvases were amazing. This is probably the first time I used like really high quality canvas, and definitely makes a big difference. They were really nice, and if I do any more canvas paintings, I'll definitely be using these again. I really liked them. As far as the gouache goes, I'll probably use the gouache up, but I probably won't buy any more gouache necessarily. I found, I mean, like the white, which is always something that you always need sometimes, I feel like, in doing paintings. It's always good for highlights. And of course, toning colors down and stuff like that. I mean, the white, as far as the Liquitex Basics white and their white, they're both the same opacity or whatever. They're both just as opaque as the other, so that would be the only thing I would probably think maybe would be worth getting. But I mean unless you're like working with that medium over working with the other medium, which that's just going to be all in personal preference. I just personally like the more pliable paint, I guess. I don't like the chalky paint as much. So, yep, that was my thoughts on gouache and acrylic. And of course, I love acrylic also because it's so easy to clean up. It's just some soap and water and everything's all clean. Not like oil paint. Oil paint can really be quite the challenge sometimes. So yes, acrylic's nice. It can be really nice for a medium sometimes. Of course, they all have their pros and their cons, and it all just depends on what you like to use. So anyway, I think we're getting close to the end of this video, and I just want to thank everybody so much for watching today's video. And I want to thank all of my subscribers. You guys are awesome and you rock, and I really appreciate you guys sticking around and watching my videos. So I've got a little bit of a backstock, I guess, and videos, and I may post a couple more this week. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. But if not, if I don't post another video this week, then I will definitely have a video out next Thursday. I hope you all have a great evening, and I hope you all have a great weekend if I do not talk to you before the weekend. So, all right. Thanks again so much, everybody, for watching tonight's video. I will talk to you in the next video. All right. Love you guys. Bye.